and welcome to a Dynamite Download Collision Control Center. I am Myndrunner, and what an awesome Saturday night, which was all right for fighting. We're here on Sunday recapping that exceptional collision that we just experienced, and we're going to talk about the highs, the lows, and the OMG main event that took our breath away. We're going to, of course, talk about the seriousness and the obscure of last night, including a touching tribute, acknowledgement to the passing of the late Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster, and very fitting that it was Tony Schiavone that was able to give that the words of condolences. Very well said. You know, he did acknowledge more so that regardless of what your thoughts are on Hulk Hogan, anybody who's ever experienced loss of a family member, especially a father, his family's going through a lot of tough times. And so our condolences again. And, you know, it is what it is. And then, of course, we have the awesome Don Callis, who is going over the top promoting his Don Callis family. His Hechicero promotions are phenomenal. So but let's get right to it. And kicking it off was Dustin Rhodes, the new TNT champion, defending his title against Tiger Style Lee Moriarty, who's also the Ring of Honor Pure champion. So not sure if there was pure rules involved. There was a little bit of that here and there. This was definitely a TNT championship match. And arguably, was this the right choice to kick off? I don't know. This is Dustin is being a defending champion. He's vowing to continue to defend his title. And Lee Moriarty, again, it's great to see him on AEW TV. And it was quite an interesting match. Lee Moriarty is a great dance partner to have. And Dustin was able to shine in the match, and including a little bit of a nod doing a crossroads for the finish with Lee Moriarty, which I thought was quite interesting. A little bit of a wink to his brother in the other company. And Dustin, after some back and forth, he was able to put Lee Moriarty away. I don't think there was any doubt that Dustin was going to retain. But of course, I think it was the aftermath that everybody was more interested in. And it was then Kyle Fletcher, accompanied, of course, with Don Callis, came to the ring, was talking some smack, and issued a challenge and demanded a TNT title shot. Dustin had some choice words for him and told him, if you want this title shot, it's going to be on my terms, and issued a Chicago street fight. So we've got that coming up, possibly on Dynamite, possibly next Collision. We're not entirely sure, but it sounds like it's going to be a Chicago street fight, which I think benefits Dustin, even though the Don Callis family is going to have shenanigans planned. There are going to be a lot of the Don Callis family members there. But I think we're also going to see Sammy Guevara and a bunch of other folks, baby faces, involved. So this actually benefits Dustin. Do I think he's walking away with his title? I don't know. I do think it is Kyle Fletcher's time, but it's going to be interesting. And Dustin, for his age, he's going to fight tooth and nail. He's going to give everything for this business. So I'm looking forward to this match. And then we had the next round of the tag team tournament. And of course, we were excited because not only have they filled in the brackets, perhaps they weren't sure who was going to be healthy and ready. That's why we only had the FTR and Jet Speed bracket from before. But tonight it was the Bang Bang Gang versus Big Bill and Brian Keith, and filling in for a injured Colton Gunn was none other than the Juice Man himself, Juice Robinson. And to honor Colton, I guess he took a piece of his gear and made that his underpants on the outside. And so very compelling to see what's going on with Juice here. If you saw our program on Thursday, Juice made a very special visit to talk to SBD about how he's turning over a new leaf. The more clean-shaven Juice Robinson. He's done peeing on people and looking like a caveman and going wild. But as we're starting to see in this match, as well as some of his promos, that little twitch, there's that little hint that the wild Juice rock hard is still there and under the surface. And at some point, I'm pretty sure we're going to see Juice go full rock hard again. I actually am all for this. I like this tease. I think it's going to be similar to, when the reason that they hid the AEW title for so long. So when you finally got to see it, there's that moment. I think we're going to get that moment where Juice finally goes full rock hard, and that's going to be a glorious moment. So super excited for this. Kudos to Big Bill Brian Keith, doing a great job here, but this was definitely the Guns to win, and ultimately they did. Austin Guns scaring the crap out of me with a selling a knee injury, similar to what actually happened to his brother Colton. So I was freaking out again. Are the Guns snake bit? But it does sound like Austin was just doing a good job selling, maybe even a little bit of a wink nod to his brother. Great job, Austin. And just please don't scare us like that. We're already worried that the Bang Bang Gang is snake bit. But they advance, and they're going to be taking on FTR. I'm looking forward to this. Is FTR going to advance? Well, that's one of the things that we're thinking of is in the tournament, as SBD predicted. He's predicting that it's going to end up being the FTR versus the Bucks, but the Outrunners are taking on the Bucks. I actually think it's going to be an upset. I think the Outrunners are going to beat the Bucks, and they're going to make it to the finals against FTR, but we will have to see. Then we had Max Caster's Open Challenge. We've talked about this before, how it seemed like Max Caster was supposed to be the geek, and Anthony Bowens was supposed to be the baby face with a rocket strapped to him. That's what we said when we were talking about the potential for the Acclaim to break up. And then the opposite happened. Max Caster, despite all his efforts, is over. And Anthony Bowens, for whatever reason, was just not clicking. And I think some of it is I think a lot of it has to do with the 5-tool player kind of thing, which, yeah, there is a term in baseball for that, but I don't think it was kind of explained to the masses. I think it lost a lot of people. And so now what the storyline seems to be is that Max Caster is bumbling and lost without the Acclaimed, and Anthony Bowens is kind of lost without the Acclaimed, and Billy Gunn's trying to bring them back together. Billy Gunn arranged this match, and of course, Anthony Bowens beat Max Caster. He didn't beat him in the quick succession that you would expect. It was a good 2.5 minutes. He didn't go the full 5 minutes, but he did beat Max Caster down. But then after the match, he attacked him again. Billy Gunn got involved to protect him, pulled Anthony Bowens off, and was protecting Max Caster. And we had this moment where Anthony Bowens looked like he was considering attacking Billy Gunn, but he stopped himself and walked away. So where is this going to lead? Hopefully, eventually it's going to lead to an Acclaimed reunion. I think that's the right move. I think breaking them up, I understand their thoughts behind it, but whatever the reason they broke them up, it actually hurt both of them. And I think it's time to bring the Acclaimed back and inject another awesome tag team back into the mix. And I hope this happens. But I think we're going to see a full-on match between Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and perhaps with Billy Gunn as the special referee. So looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. But I think it's time. I think they're pivoting because they're sensing how the fans are reacting, and I think they're going to bring back the Acclaim together. So we'll see what happens there. And then AEW's version of Pure Fusion Collective Pink Pony Club has arrived at AEW. And what I mean by that, if you're familiar with Mission Pro Spotlight, we have the debut of the trio, Julia Hart, Tekla, and Sky Blue. 3 of my favorite female wrestlers, 3 badass female wrestlers. I love this trio. I love this faction. But come on. You think we could have come up with a better name? Off the top of my head, I can come up with 5 better names just right now. You got the Web of Wiccan. You've got the Coven of Chaos, the Toxic Spiders. There's so many better names than the Triangle of Madness. That's the best that they could come up with. And what happened to the Sisters of Sin? I thought that's what they were going with. I hope this name doesn't last. I hope they make a change. I do like their presentation. I mean, the 3 of them do seem to fit well. Tekla has got that spooky vibe. I like her kind of uniting with these other 2. And of course, when we get women's tag team titles, I'd love to see Sky Blue and Julia Hart in the mix for it with Tekla lurking around and spinning her web. But come on, we got to change this name. And they, of course, made quick work of the I wouldn't call them jobbers. I mean, Rachel Ellering, Maserati, and I believe the third wrestler we're familiar too. All former Mission Pro wrestlers. They did get worked over pretty good by Tekla in the Triangle of Madness. But post match, we had our the Queen, the one and only Queen Aminata, came down to regulate. She was going after, specifically looked like she was going after Tekla. But this was a bit confusing. I mean, I get it, but all of a sudden, Megan Bayne comes out of nowhere, attacks Queen Aminata from behind, lays her out, and then just walks away, almost gives a nod to these 3. So what's going on here? Why all of a sudden Megan Bayne just randomly getting involved here? Is she going to join the Triangle of Madness, make it the quadrilateral of confusion? Where was Penelope Ford? Is this trying to pivot to give Queen Aminata a reason to go after Megan Bayne? Also, Queen Aminata did have a little blemish on her face. Is she going to turn to the dark side, or is she going to be like Willow and just kind of shake it off? We'll have to see. But as much as I love everybody involved in this segment, I left it being more confused with what the direction they're going with this, rather than feeling good about it. I think this could have been planned better. I think the name is stinky. And I don't understand Megan Bayne being involved. Again, with AEW, just sit back and wait. I'm sure it'll make sense eventually. But this seemed a little thrown together. Hopefully it'll pan out. And then it was time for a potty match. A potty match. It was time for a potty match. We had our 8-man tag for $400K. And if you're sick of this, I'm sorry, but to me, it's like getting sick of a steak dinner every week. These party matches are so fun. And we had a crowd that was starting to die off, but they got pumped because look who you had. You had the Outrunners. You had Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pitbull. And, of course, you had Hologram taking on the Wizard, Hechicero. Yosoi Hechicero, Yosoi, Murderhawk Lance Archer, and joining them was the Infantry with Crisco Hips himself, Shane Taylor at ringside, as well as Don Callis. And this party match was exactly like you would think. It was the 4-on-4 back and forth, everybody getting their spots in. Outrunners with their "you son of a bitch" a moment. You had Tomohiro just being this Iron Stone Pitbull, just not taking any BS. Murderhawk getting in there. The Infantry doing a lot of great selling, a lot of great tandem work. I hope they get some more AEW TV time. Hechicero is really demonstrating how impressive he is, though. I'm glad we're getting to see him, and I'm glad he's more legit part of the Callis family, not just a one-off. So I really like that he's there. But of course, the highlight, the main star of this match was Mr. Lemon Drop himself. It was Hologram. Hologram looking like he was, just jumped out of a Sprite commercial. But he was, of course, the highlight. And of course, they got the $400K. After some shenanigans at ringside, the Paragon showed up, or what was left of the Paragon, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, and they were able to chase everybody out, chase Shane Taylor off. Shane Taylor, it was funny watching Shane Taylor look tough and then run like a scalded dog. But then that led to a backstage segment later on, and I'm compelled to this. I find this compelling because, as we remember, Kyle O'Reilly was part of the conglomeration, and there was a moment where it was talking about Roddy Strong's birthday. Hey, we can take some of the money that you guys won and spend it on Roddy Strong for his birthday. It does seem like they're kind of, pivoting again with Adam Cole gone. They're kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do with Paragon. And are they going to create kind of a feud here with Hologram? Or is Kyle O'Reilly going to be kind of trying to get back into the conglomeration? So they're playing around with this. They probably don't know exactly what they're going to do, but it's interesting. I want Kyle O'Reilly to be back with the conglomeration. I wouldn't even mind if Roderick joined them, but I miss the Roderick Strong with the Kingdom. I miss with Bennett and Taven. I actually think that should come back, but we'll see. We'll see what direction that they're going to go. Kyle O'Reilly is so much better as a conglomeration member, but it's interesting. We're going to see which direction that they go. And then Chris Statlander had a backstage interview, I think in a Pizza Hut fridge of some kind. But she and Renee Paquette was getting some strong words from Chris Statlander, definitely bitter and has a chip on her shoulder about Willow. But I think this is going to eventually lead to the two of them making up, but after probably having a match. And again, this brings back to a topic about Collision is giving a lot of time to the women. The women's division is developing. It's in my opinion, the women's division is stronger than ever. Even though we have a couple ladies still out, I think it's looking fantastic. And that leads us to our hot take today from a special guest. Hot take tonight is from none other than the American Cowboy himself, Aaron from Aaron Loves Wrestling. He also goes by Dr. Love, but we know him as the American Cowboy. So without further ado, let's hear from the American Cowboy, Aaron Loves Wrestling, on a women's pay-per-view.
How's it going, all my wrestling lovers? Aaron Loves Wrestling Podcast here, and I am Dr. Love himself, also known as the American Cowboy, Aaron, and I am here to talk about AEW and an all elite women's pay per view. All Elite Wrestling Women's Pay Per View. Call it All Elite Women. I think that'd be a great name for it. But creating a pay per view for the women is, I think, is long past overdue in AEW. But right now, you have the roster to do so more than you ever had. You have Tony Storm, Athena, Mercedes Monet. You have Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Tay Mello, Anna Jay, Megan Bain, Penelope Ford. Um, you have all these great, talented women in the wrestling division, women in the division, to have an all elite women's pay per view, an all elite wrestling women's pay per view. I think that Tony Khan should put something together at some point later this year or early next year to have that pay per view. It is long overdue, and I think the women deserve it for all the hard work they put in, and they need to put this in for the women in AEW to push this women's division even more, and put the spotlight on them even more, because you have great, talented women in the division. You can get some good stories out of them, and you can introduce the AEW Women's Tag Team titles. I think this will be great for the women in AEW, and it would help everybody in the division as well, and they deserve it. So if you think that they should get their own pay-per-view, comment the hashtag All Elite Women. Comment that. Comment that below. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Let me know what y'all think. And as I always say, everyone, just love pro wrestling.
Thank you, American Cowboy. Thank you for that hot take. And yes, I agree. I think we need to get an AEW women's only pay-per-view. Maybe start out with a women's only, like Ladies Night Dynamite. Stick your toe in there, see how it goes. Definitely a reason to bring the AEW women's tag team titles into existence. But we have got to talk about exhibit number 1 right here. This main event on Collision, the ladies clocked into work. They brought it. This was a main event worthy of pay-per-view levels. The ladies brought it. What an incredible match. Athena and Alex Windsor. I love how she says that right at the beginning of her entrance. And as suspected, because you know Athena shows up for work. She shows up to put on banger after banger. But Alex Windsor got to show off for the third time, I believe, in AEW. She got to truly show, and of all nights, this was great, worthy of a main event. She got to show why she is main event caliber. And of course, before all this, earlier in the night, Lexi Nair interviewed Toni Storm, who basically told Athena to sit and spin, which we will see Toni Storm later at the end of this match. However, this was such an incredible match for the Ring of Honor title. And of course, just like with the men in Ring of Honor fashion, the ladies have to shake hands before beginning the match. And of course, Athena with her very condescending, kiss the ring style handshake with Alex Windsor. Alex Windsor was not having any of her crap. And if you get a chance to just see one match from Collision, yes, the party match is great too. I highly recommend you go check out this match right here. This women's match between Athena and Alex Windsor was the definition, as the man in the black hat says, was a buckle slobber knocker. It was incredible. The chops between the two of them were incredible. The hits, the drop kicks. There was a spot where Athena dropped Alex Windsor on the hardest part of the ring, the apron. There were kicks on the outside, the inside. There were flippy doos. There were all kinds of actions going on. Billy Starks, of course, being shenanigans. But that knobby need milk breath Rugrat didn't need to get involved. Athena was bringing it. Windsor was fighting back. It was a good back and forth. But then the finish was incredible too. You had this one spot where Athena did this almost like a counter and flipped it into a submission move, and it was so seamless. It was like butter. It was like butter the way she just slipped right into it. But it's great to see Athena with a good dance partner like Alex Windsor. I hope this is a feud that will continue on. And of course, Alex Windsor got the L. Athena retained, but she wasn't without shenanigans, because that's when Billy Starks and Athena made the attack onto Alex Windsor. And who would come running down but the whore we all adore, the tramp that's still the champ, timeless Toni Storm came to the rescue. It looked like actually Athena was going to get the better of Toni Storm when Alex Windsor, she took a Phoenix down, as Simon Miller likes to make the Final Fantasy reference. She got her energy back up, and then it was a 2-on-2 brawl. I hope this leads to a tag team match. I'd love to see Timeless Windsor, or I'd like to, against the Minions there. I think that's going to be a great tag team match. I'm looking forward to it. And then Timeless Toni Storm did some kind of cat pose at the end. I'm excited. I think, Timeless Toni Storm, she, back up the Brinkstruck for her. Athena, she's the gem of Ring of Honor, and I love that she's getting some serious AEW time. Billy Starks is a great minion. Alex Windsor is one of the best new additions to AEW women's division. So the four ladies in this match, main event caliber, and I love that AEW's going for it with their champions, with Tony Storm and Athena. I'd like to see, of course, Athena and Mercedes run it back as well. I wish the best to Mina with her injury, but I'd like to see Mina in the mix. But these four really brought it down and led to our top performers of the night. This was a tough one. There were several candidates. I could have put Hologram in here, but the ladies brought such a great moment, a main event. They created such a great main event back and forth. Highly recommend you go check it out if you can. But I was torn. I went with Athena. SBD went with Alex Windsor. You could have flipped this. We probably would have been fine with that. Athena is still one of my favorites, but having a great dance partner like Alex Windsor, and also Athena was able to let Alex Windsor shine. So both ladies looked great in this match. Both ladies showed that they are main event caliber. I think Alex Windsor, despite her connection to Will Ospreay, she doesn't make any notes about it here. She's not a Will Ospreay wrestler. She's much closer. I think she's much closer to Thunder Rosa as far as the style of wrestling. But Alex Windsor and Athena brought in a like old-fashioned slugfest. Both of them, this was match of the night, arguably match of the week. And I highly recommend you go check it out. They are our top performers, hands down. There was really no question by the end of this match. And now let's take a look at the draft rankings after Collision, which again had more matches than Dynamite. But check it out. Ranger Man at the top with 23 points. Right behind him is the computer brain himself. Steven is in the second place with 22. Right behind him in third place is SPD. We can't let SPD get a hat trick of wins in the draft. I'm right behind SPD with 17. Right behind me is American Cowboy at 16. Bobby at 15. Right behind him, Crayfish at 14. Brent at 13. Full Tilt Deb at 11. And bringing up the caboose, but she's got a boost in the caboose because she got some points tonight. Courtney's bringing up the rear with 7 points. But again, as we know with these drafts, don't count anybody out. Forbidden Doors coming up. We just drafted a lot of CMLL wrestlers. Who knows what's going to happen? Anyways, if you get a chance, go check out Collision. If you're only going to want to watch one match from Collision, watch the main event, Athena versus Windsor. If you're going to watch two matches, make sure you also get the potty match. Make sure you watch that as well. I recommend watching the whole thing. It was great. I am Myndrunner. We will see you on Thursday. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we will see you. Keep the positivity. Don't dwell on the negativity. And let's all love wrestling together.